This is We the People News, alright? I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving legal advice, okay? I may give my opinion, no more, no less, okay? Why? Because I'm not an attorney, y'all. And do not take it as such, alright? I never look straight forward. I always look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. In order to protect myself by any means necessary, I gotta watch my wallet. And I gotta watch my mouth. I don't want to give consent if I don't have to. I don't want to volunteer unless I have to. Alright? I want to keep my governed powers and govern myself, govern my family, and govern my employees of my township, my county, my state, my federal. We are the bosses. We are the people, and we need to stand as men and women, just like we've been waking up here lately. Alright? Since this floaty magical powers, okay, called it chaos, and woken a lot of us up from the overpowered from the government. Remember, executive orders are for the employees, FBI, soldiers, all them, okay? But really, the executive orders have no authority over businesses or you at all. People, zero power, zero. This is not complicated. Executive orders in the state, federal. Biden has no authority over you. He is not your king. Alright? And even kings have limitations. Until, what is it, George III decided to give himself immunity that he didn't have no authority to do so. Like our judges has done that. Like our government has done that. Yeah, no. That's overreach of government.
Magna Carta, or the Great Charter, was intended to limit the king's power. A group of lords had rebelled against King John for practices such as warring against, dispossessing, and exiling his opponents without legal process. In 1215, the lords
Speaking of which, that was We the People.
Cornered King John at Runnymede and forced him to sign a document containing 61 articles. Later English kings reissued Magna Carta whenever they got into trouble. The 14th century was again a time of great conflict between the crown and the nobility. Parliament enacted a series of statutes that became a celebrated foundation of English law. These statutes referred to Magna Carta and confirmed that a trial observing lawful procedures should take place before judgment. Several of these 14th century statutes used a phrase that became deeply associated with Magna Carta.
So even when they came up with the statutes in the Magna Carta, was for the government, the king. It wasn't for the people.
And eventually with the U.S. Constitution, due process of law.
Remember, I'm not giving legal advice. Opinions.
Magna Carta embodied the idea of a government constrained by law. They saw the Great Charter as the oldest written document of the fundamental laws of England. Americans viewed these fundamental laws as their inheritance, which no king or parliament could take away. Not only was Magna Carta a powerful symbol of limited government, but Americans saw in it and insisted on specific rights. The right Americans most often invoked in connection with the Great Charter
Trial by jury, y'all. Trial by jury. When there's a court, they're not to leave that courtroom until the end. Alright? Now we have jury trials. The judge has authority over jury trials. Trial by jury has zero say over the jury. Alright? Trickery words, y'all. They've stolen trial by jury and created jury trial to have authority like a king, which, by the way, happened in the 14th century. That's the reason why they came up with this other stuff. A king was putting juries in prison and judges. by the way. That's the reason why they created this new policy. Okay? Excuse me. Because they basically, what they did was the king was trying to create jury trial instead of jury by trial.
Was the right to trial by jury. Americans believed this right to be enshrined in Article 29. No free man shall be taken and imprisoned or
Speaking of which, they said, well, there's no rules or laws or anything about men. I don't know. Article 29. No free man. 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 Not person. Not person. Not person. Man. Man. Man.
Eased of any free tenement, or of his liberties, or free customs, or outlawed, or exiled, or in any other way destroyed. Nor will we go upon him, nor send upon him, except by the lawful judgment of his peers, or by the law of the land. By this language, the barons at Runnymede certainly did not intend to enshrine common law trial by jury. In criminal cases in 1215, jury trial did not exist, and in civil cases, jury trial had only limited use. In Article 29 of Magna Carta, the phrase judgment of his peers, per judicium parium, meant that no one could be tried by his inferiors. The barons, therefore, thought they should be tried by each other, a concept that survived in the trial of peers in the House of Lords. But Americans did link Magna Carta with jury trial. They were following a line of thought that had begun in England in the late Tudor period, with antiquarians interested in tracing the ancient constitution of England. Many of these antiquarians thought that jury trials and other English institutions began with the Anglo-Saxons. In their view, Magna Carta confirmed these ancient rights. Edward Coke and others in the 17th century celebrated this link between Magna Carta and jury trial. This was part of an effort to limit royal power. Coke extensively discussed Article 29 of Magna Carta in his Second Institutes, a source well known to Americans at the time of the founding. Americans of the colonial and revolutionary era exalted the jury as a means of furthering self-governance and nullifying despised British laws. In their enthusiasm for the
self-governance, we were responsible for ourselves, people.
Jury. Americans put the translated words of Article 29 of Magna Carta directly into 8 of the new state constitutions. For example, the Maryland Constitution of 1776 states that no free man ought to be taken or imprisoned or disseised of his freehold, liberties, or privileges, or outlawed or exiled, or in any manner destroyed, or deprived of his life, liberty, or property, but by the...
Just a reminder, y'all. Not person, man. Trickery of words. They put person in instead of man now.
Judgment of his peers, or by the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution does not quote Magna Carta directly, but the Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. This is a reference to the English statutes of the 14th century that confirm or outlawed or exiled, or in any manner destroyed, or deprived of his life, liberty, or property, but by the judgment of his peers, or by the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution does not quote Magna Carta directly, but the Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Jeez. Due process. Life, liberty, or property. Not private property. Property. Property comes in many forms. Your fingerprints. The words that you speak. That is your property. You own them words. You're responsible for them words. They're yours. Your thoughts. Okay? Then you got material property. Your cars. Your land. Alright? So, this right here is a vast sets of property. My eyes, my cancer, if I have cancer, it's my cancer. Government has zero authority over my cancer. Okay? But the due process, right? When a cop arrests you without a warrant, okay, he cannot make legal determinations, right? But, well, I have probable cause. But he cannot make a legal determination that he has probable cause. He must take you to the judge or magistrate to do the due process. And that officer and you and that magistrate or judge sits there and discusses this. Okay? Now, if you want to remain silent and anything held be against you in the court of law, right? However, you three go directly to the magistrate, and then the judge gives a legal determination of probable cause. That there is a due process, right? You don't see the jail first. You see the judge first, people. If you go to jail first, then they confiscated your property, your fingerprints, all this kind of stuff. Took a graven image of you and all this kind of stuff. And it's on record in that police car for the rest of your life. Even if you're found innocent in court, it's still held against you every single day of your life in that computer system when they pull you over. Okay? That's another one. That's a violation of due process. If you're found innocent, then they cannot hold that arrest against you. But yet they do. Okay? That's a violation of due process. Alright? So therefore, keep in mind, challenge them 3 times minimum. Challenge them until you fucking blue in the face. Y'all, all the way until you pass out in the jail cell. I demand to see the magistrate. I want my due process. Right now, you're violating my due process. Justice delayed is justice denied. You just violated my due process. Alright? Remember, they're supposed to have warrants in the first place. And if they don't have a warrant, that officer must have seen a crime. Not a policy of ordinance that you're speeding.
This is a reference to the English statutes of the 14th century that confirmed that Magna Carta required due process of law. Americans' views of the jury have changed over time, but the enduring legacy, the ancient inheritance of Magna Carta, is closely connected with the idea of due process of law. As Justice William Johnson of the U.S. Supreme Court put it in a case in 1819, Magna Carta represents the idea that the individual should be secure from the arbitrary exercise.
Shit. Hang on a second. You ordinance, residence, taxes is arbitrary government. Alright? It's supposed to come from the legislature of your states, not from your towns, not from your county. That is a bypass law. But what they actually call that is a bylaw, is actually what it's called. I call it a bypass law because that's exactly what they did. They bypassed the law and mistreating you, convicting you without due process over 0 crimes. Over a corporate rules and regulations. Remember, y'all, ordinance means, in American jurisprudence, ordinance means member of corporation. They have authority over McDonald's. They can make rules and policies over McDonald's. But not you. Resident means renter. Me, per se, I own my property. So they have 0 authority over this land. Period. 0. Alright?
of the powers of government.
Oh, by the way, well, you you broke an ordinance. I'm not a member of a corporation. That does not apply to me. Okay? The police comes out with all these magical powers like policies. Well, it's our policy to just pull your pants down in the middle of the street. All right? Well, let's see, y'all. I'm not a member of your policy. I'm not a member of your corporation. Your policies do not attend to me. And you cannot come up with a policy that violates my due process. Period. Cannot violate the Constitution, state or federal. Cannot violate the due process. So these lawyers and judges and all of them is lying to you. And you see where our country is at today, y'all. I'm 50 years old. I have more freedom in the 80s than we do now. All right. Diesel We the People News. Bye, y'all.